When my people, who are called by my name, repent and call out to me, I will hear them and heal their land. How many times have you heard this verse quoted before? And how many people know the context behind it? So I read most of 2nd Chronicles in the last 2 days, and it's interesting what the context to this is. I didn't even realize that this verse was in 2nd Chronicles until I got to it. So let me set up the context for you. So Solomon had just built the temple, and God set Solomon said a bunch of prayers and stuff and sacrificed multiple thousands of animals and stuff. And then God set the sacrifices on fire himself whenever Solomon first started sacrificing and stuff. And so he says a prayer and talks about a bunch of stuff, asking God, if this is happening in the land, then please, if people pray towards the temple, then heal whatever they're talking about, or fix whatever they're talking about. And so God responds. He says, he lists 3 different plagues. He says, if I send locusts on all their crops, if I do something else, and if I am plaguing the people with sickness, and then they repent and call my name, I will hear them from heaven and heal their land. Why do we never hear the first half, or the verse that comes right before the one we quote all the time? I know the charismatics and people like Keith Moore will not mention that because they say God doesn't do stuff like that. God did not make people sick in the Old Testament, they say. And they'll say that anytime it says God did something, he was actually sending the devil to do it, because he doesn't do that, despite hundreds of times where it says he does and did. I do think that this verse can apply to us, because if God would have heard Israel and forgiven them, then he would hear us and forgive us too, if we repent from what we're doing wrong and seek him in large numbers. But why have I only heard this verse and none of the context before? It's pretty inconvenient to talk about whenever your theology is that God does nothing that feels wrong to us and only does good things. Now, granted, in the Old Testament, the only bad things he does are to people he is judging for doing bad things. He's not just judging people for the fun of it, except for Job, who the Bible actually says the devil was attacking Job because God let him. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting, the context behind that. Now tomorrow I've got another verse that I found, which I will also put on here, which was pretty interesting.